Hey, welcome back to Screen Diaries. We've made it to episode 5 of Paradise, titled In the Palaces of Crown Kings. In this episode, we get more backstory of Cal's life and we're shown more glimpses leading up to when he was killed. I really enjoyed this episode. I think the pacing was great, it was executed well, it was amazing. So the episode opens with Cal going to see his father. As he's getting out of the car, the driver offers to give him his mixtape back and he says, "No, I just like making them." So you can clearly see here his love and passion for mixtapes. So I love that they added this little part in. By the way, Cal's father is Dr. K from This Is Us. Did you notice that? Tiger Woods is playing on TV and Cal's father says something about Tiger's father doing a great job with him. To which Cal responds, "I'm sure he had, some natural talent too." So there was definitely an undertone there or some type of projection here. You could see that. And I want to point something out here. Cal's father offers him alcohol and he's like, "It's only 11 a.m. And his father's like, "It's happy hour somewhere." There's a scene later in the episode where Cal asks Jeremy to watch Rocky and he also offers him alcohol. So here he's offering his underage son alcohol. You also see Jeremy drinking heavily throughout this episode. This drinking thing ties all the way back to Cal's father and has trickled down to Jeremy. So this is serious. Cal's trying to open up to his dad and tells him he wants to be a high school teacher. And his dad laughs in his face and says, "Over my dead body. You're going into politics. You come from men who've lived big lives. I'm not going to watch you do the opposite." We're introduced to X's neighbor, Carl, who now owes him for keeping a secret that he has a pet. We're brought back to present day, the day of Cal's funeral. This is when X notices Billy's not responding and he did not show up to the funeral. We see some things on the side. We see them change the sky and it's so bizarre because for almost a second you forget all of this is fake. Cal's wife was in the front row looking, I don't even know how to describe it, but she had this weird look on her face. And this is where we're hit with a flashback to Cal's dad dealing with horrible disease, Alzheimer's. He's looking for his book and this is when he first caught Billy Sniper. X of course approaches Jane at the funeral and asks if she's seen Billy. She says she hasn't. She immediately looks suspicious, like, "Jane." So Xavier's like, "Let's go find him." They're interrupted by Agent Robinson and she lets X know that the DNA samples from the crime scene never arrived at the lab. Things are still tense between them right now and X doesn't really seem like he wants anything to do with her. It kind of seems like she's trying to connect with him and trying to get him to join her, but he's kind of like, "No, I don't need this right now." And speaking of Agent Robinson, we're met with another flashback between her and Cal where he mentions to her that his dad was one of the first people Samantha, aka Sinatra, recruited to help build the place. He had some type of geologic experience and he knew how to find seams in the earth. Cal brings up again his dad calls Billy Sniper and he also reveals to Robinson that there are guns down there. In this episode, I think they did a great job at seamlessly jumping back between the past and the present. So unfortunately, X and Jane find Billy. He's gone. And she just completely overplayed this part. It wasn't believable at all. The crocodile tears, I just was like, "Jane, girl, give it up." I do feel like when the authorities got there, X looked at Jane. Did you catch that? He looked at her in a way like, I don't believe you. I think he knows something's up with her. I want to point out the great acting by Sterling in this scene. When X called it in, you could see him fighting, trying to keep calm. He just found his best friend was killed. He still has to uphold this calm nature based off his job, even though he's on leave. And you can see that battle within him and how hard it was for him. And I just think that he did an amazing job in this scene. Cal still can't get this sniper thing out of his mind. So he starts doing some digging and realizes he's denied access into some files on his tablet. So he goes and uses his dad's fingerprints while he's sleeping to get access. But how crazy is that? You're the president and your father still has more access than you. Another example of people at the top choosing who gets access to certain resources. I noticed that the file on the tablet was labeled Explorers Lost at Sea, which Cal's dad mentioned earlier, and he mentioned it was 4 of them. You can hear Billy on the recordings telling Sinatra they were less than a day away. This leads me to believe that there were some people on a boat trying to make their way to the New World. This is when Sinatra tells Billy to take them out. At this point, it's as if Cal knows his days are numbered, so he sets his plan into motion. We cut to him going to the library, showing his appreciation for the staff, which I love. He's there bobbing around, making a mixtape for Jeremy. Them showing this library scene was very intentional, and I will explain more of that later. We cut to Cal confiding in Dr. Gabriella, saying he only trusts X and to look directly at Billy should something happen to him. Cal seems to really trust Gabriella. She did give the message to Xavier as promised, but could she still be evil? She could be. I don't know. We'll find out. Okay, so after Cal finds these files, the scene where he confronts Sinatra. I know. Everyone thinks he's dumb and he shouldn't have done that. But the angle that I'm thinking about it from is, I think that he needed to do it. He really took it to heart when Jeremy told him he doesn't stand for anything. So him standing up for himself, confronting Sinatra was something he felt he needed to do. And plus, he clearly set some things up behind the scenes because he already knew what was coming. So this is where the bond forms between X and Robinson. Both of them are looking at Sinatra now. They share this moment and he says, Billy was like a little brother to me, and Robinson says, and I was in love with Cal. So they both have this deep and personal motive to now go after Sinatra together, and I love that. They agree to take her down, and Robinson lets him know she has access to the weapons from when Cal told her. What I love is that as soon as X finds out Billy was killed, it's go time. He knows it wasn't a suicide. He's not an idiot, and he's ready to go to war. What I'm also loving is Robinson's character development. She was not very likable, but they are crafting her to actually be an ally for X. I wondered at first why she was so angry, and I see a lot of it has to do with her being a black woman in such a critical role and navigating that, number one. Also hiding the secret of being with the president and just having all these pent-up emotions. So of course she's walking around angry. Jeremy is shown once again drinking. X's daughter is consoling him, and he admits how cruel he was to his dad in his final days, which I'm glad he admitted that because it was true. His dad was flawed and he had a drinking problem, we know that, but it seems like you starting to have a drinking problem too, Jeremy. And Jeremy told him, I wish you would have died with the rest of the world. Like, that is, no matter how angry you are at a parent, that's just something you don't say. Remember though, when Xavier also said to Cal, I won't forgive you until you're dead. This has been a theme. I feel really bad for Cal this episode. It was kind of sad because his last days were brutal. Feeling like your father was never proud of you, feeling like your son hates you, and having a failed marriage. Like, that is a lot. No wonder he drinks so much. They're interrupted by the grandfather, and he grabs Presley's arm and he's saying, I saw her, I saw her. My initial thought was, okay, he thinks Jeremy's Cal, so maybe he thinks she's Robinson. But the more I thought about it, I was like, wait, he saw Presley the night of the murder. Cal and his dad have this moment in the study where Cal asks him, are you proud of me? And he refused to tell him he was proud of him, which had to hurt. Most men seek that approval from their fathers. That was tough to watch. Remember when I said the library scene would be important? We cut to Cal writing something on a cigarette, and this is what I think. The numbers from the cigarette he left behind connect to the location of the notebook or CD he burned in the library. I think it's some type of reference number in the library. Jeremy's now confronting his grandfather for that crazy behavior, and of course he still thinks he's Cal. He finally tells him how proud of him he is, and he apologizes. I wish he would have done that when he was alive. So many things left unsaid, to which Jeremy responds, I'm sorry too, Dad, and I forgive you for everything. This was brilliant writing right here because Jeremy was basically talking to his dad. Essentially, Jeremy gave himself and his grandfather closure at the same time. So that was awesome. We see a shot of a boat that's lost at sea, which connects to those files Cal found. So I think in the coming episodes, we'll learn more about that. We're at the end of the episode, and it's such a great sequence, the way everything was laid out. You feel the wheels turning. X cashes in on his favor, tells his daughter, pack your bags. He has this fire in his eyes. We see Carl, the neighbor, secretly setting something up in the systems. We see the grandfather realizes it was Presley who he saw that night. We cut to Presley. She has the president's tablet. Now, how does she get that? And this was my favorite part. Cue the music, a rendition of Eye of the Tiger plays, and Xavier is staring into the streetlight camera, into Sinatra's soul. The music intensifies, the sky turns red, and the sky is illuminated with a message saying they're lying to you. So Carl has configured this message and put it on display for everyone to see. And you can tell from this moment, it's about to get real. My last final thought, it appears that Presley has something to do with or was around the day of the murder. But I think she was there with Billy. He did mention that she would come over to play games with him. So I think that was the reason she was there. Now, why she has a tablet and how she got it, I'm not sure. Maybe she wanted answers into what happened to her mom, or maybe Billy gave it to her. Maybe that was one of the final things that he did. I told you guys the last episode, Billy is not dumb, and I think that he left behind some clues as well. The theme of the rearrangement of classic songs in this series is impeccable. It adds so much to each moment, and they're killing it. I think this was one of my favorite episodes so far of the season. It has such an explosive ending. How are they going to tie this up in only 3 more episodes? We'll see. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you for sticking it out with me. Please like, comment, subscribe so you can be notified as soon as I post. See you back here for a recap of episode 6. Bye.